February 2021 was an amazing month for the Nintendo Switch, and March is looking just as amazing. And in today's video, I'm going to go over 30, yes, that's right, 30 awesome looking games coming out on the Nintendo Switch in March 2021. First game on the list is A Glider's Journey, releasing on March 1st, digitally only for $9.90. A Glider's Journey is a relaxing and minimalistic flying game where you explore each level while working on your pilot skills. The controls are easy to learn but difficult to master, as all you have to use is a single joystick. There are 15 levels with several unique biomes with low poly graphics and a custom soundtrack for each level. A Glider's Journey looks like a nice relaxing little game to play when you want to wind down, and you can check it out when it releases on March 1st. Also on March 1st is Gunslugs 2, releasing digitally only for $7.99. Gunslugs 2 is a retro-style 2D run-and-gun platformer inspired by the 80s and 90s. You will be fighting your way through 7 worlds with 8 levels each as you battle tanks, spiders, bombs, rockets, and aliens. Gunslugs 2 looks like a pretty fun little run-and-gun platformer at a cheap price, and you can play it when it releases on March 1st. Next up on March 2nd is Harvest Moon Wonderworld, releasing digitally and physically for $49.99. Time for the newest entry in the Harvest Moon series with Harvest Moon Wonderworld. For those of you who are not familiar, Harvest Moon is a sim series along the lines of games like Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley. You will be exploring beaches, deserts, volcanoes, and more as you explore 5 areas and set out to revive the Harvest Goddess. You will be farming, fishing, mining, raising animals, taking part in festivals, and much more as you live your Harvest Moon life. If you're looking for a chill and relaxing game, then check out Harvest Moon Wonderworld when it releases on March 2nd. Next up on March 3rd is GraviFire, releasing digitally only for $4.99. GraviFire is a logic puzzle game that uses movement and gravity while you attempt to put all the objects in the right place. You will have to contend with different mechanics such as lasers as you brain your way through 50 levels. GraviFire looks like a fun looking little budget puzzle game to play in between other games, and you can check it out when it releases on March 3rd. Also on March 3rd is Sir Lovelot, releasing digitally only for $9.99. Sir Lovelot is a silly 2D platformer that really reminds me of games like Super Meat Boy. Your goal is to collect gifts in each level to give to the damsel while avoiding obstacles and killing monsters. There are over 40 levels you will navigate across hundreds of screens as you use moves like rope climbing, wall sliding, and water diving. There are plenty of shortcuts and secrets to find in each level as well. Sir Lovelot looks like a challenge and a ton of fun, and this is one that I may end up buying when it releases on March 3rd. Yet again on March 3rd is 3 out of 10 Season 1, releasing digitally only for $9.99. 3 out of 10 Season 1 is a point-and-click adventure game where you are a game development studio trying to make a game that will score higher than 3 out of 10. You will be freely exploring and learning more about the world in this open-ended game as you work with your development team to make the best game. It looks like a very funny game, and it seems like you'll be able to play these bad games that are developed as well. There is an original soundtrack, director commentary, and more, and the game features all 5 episodes of the first season. I have to admit, I'm intrigued by this one, so I may be checking out 3 out of 10 Season 1 when it releases on March 3rd. Next up on March 4th is Give It Up Bouncy, releasing digitally only for $9.99. Give It Up Bouncy is a strategic puzzle platforming game that requires precise movement and timing. Once you start bouncing, you cannot stop, so you have to plan your path carefully and have fast reflexes. There are over 70 levels full of challenges and skins to unlock for your blob. I have to admit, it looks like a fun game, and I love a game with quick levels you can play here and there, so be sure and check out Give It Up Bouncy when it releases on March 4th. Also on March 4th is a really fun looking game called Kill It With Fire. Kill It With Fire might be the most ridiculous and entertaining looking game I've seen on this list so far, as in this silly game you just kill house spiders with various weapons and insane physics. Your goal is to exterminate all the spiders using any means necessary, and you will utilize a ton of different weapons from guns to flamethrowers, ninja stars, clipboards, you name it, all in first person view as you try to uncover all the spiders' hiding spots. This game looks insane and over the top, and I immediately wanted to buy it after watching the trailer, so I can't wait to play Kill It With Fire when it releases on March 4th. Also on March 4th is Mel Mole, releasing digitally only for $14.99. Mel Mole is a 3D platformer that is very similar to Super Lucky's Tale, and that's okay because that's a great game. The difference here is that Mel Mole seems to put more emphasis on the digging mechanic, which makes sense since it is a mole after all. You'll be exploring over 30 levels as you navigate platforming challenges, solve puzzles, and collect carrots to buy costumes as well as other collectibles. There are time attacks to take place in as well. Mel Mole looks like a pretty solid and fun 3D platformer, and you can check it out when it releases on March 4th. Yet again on March 4th is Estranged: The Departure, releasing digitally only for $5.99. Estranged: The Departure is a first-person adventure game where you take on the role of a fisherman stranded on a mysterious island during a storm as you try to uncover its secrets. Estranged: The Departure features a deep story full of interesting characters, and as you explore the island, you will be interacting with objects, solving puzzles, and using guns and melee weapons to defend yourself. One interesting tidbit is that this game was developed by one person and it took over 6 years, so for $5.99, I say we support this indie developer and this cool looking game when Estranged: The Departure releases on March 4th. Again on March 4th is Everhood, releasing digitally only for $14.99. Everhood is an adventure RPG that is clearly inspired by Undertale, except dare I say it looks like a better game. You will be exploring the world of Everhood full of strange characters throughout the course of the 5 to 6 hour journey. What is very intriguing here is the battle system is music and rhythm based, and it looks like an absolute blast to play. Everhood looks trippy just like Undertale, and I'm really looking forward to this one when it releases on March 4th. And again on March 4th is Sea of Solitude, the Director's Cut, releasing digitally for $19.99 and physically for $29.99. Sea of Solitude is developed by Quantic Dream, who you may know as the developers of Detroit Become Human, and it is an action-adventure game where you sail across the ocean exploring, encountering monsters, and solving puzzles. It is a very emotional journey centered around loneliness as you explore the watery levels that change depending on Kaze's state of mind. I love the art style in Sea of Solitude and the choice of colors, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm very intrigued by this game, especially considering it was developed by Quantic Dream. I may be checking out Sea of Solitude when it releases on March 4th. Next up on March 11th is A Day Without Me, releasing digitally only for $5.99. A Day Without Me is a very interesting looking little budget game as you wake up realizing you're the only person left in the city. It is a puzzle adventure game where your goal is to find out where everyone is and why you're the only one left. You will encounter many odd things as you explore a semi-open world and solve several mysteries and challenges. A Day Without Me looks like a pretty cool little budget title, and you can pick it up when it releases on March 11th. Also on March 11th is Stitchy and Tooky Trouble. Stitchy and Tooky Trouble is a side-scrolling platformer where you're trying to save all your stolen corn. You will platform your way through several worlds, each with 9 levels, 1 boss, and a secret level. This game is designed to be easy to pick up and play with unique enemies and smooth controls. It is a platformer everyone can enjoy. So prepare for a fun-looking platformer when Stitchy and Tooky Trouble releases on March 11th. Next up on March 12th is a major third-party release, and that is Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time, releasing digitally and physically for $39.99. Not much to say here. Crash Bandicoot 4 is the newest entry in the series and was previously released on the other consoles, and it got really good reviews. You will be going on a time-bending adventure as Crash as you travel the multiverse to reunite all 4 quantum masks. There are new abilities, playable characters, bosses, and much more, and I'm super happy to see Crash 4 finally releasing on the Nintendo Switch. So get ready for an epic adventure with Crash and friends when Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time releases on March 12th. Next up on March 16th is a game I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of. I'm just going to say Mundaun, and I wasn't able to find a price on that one, so if you know the price, let me know in the comments down below. Mundaun is a first-person horror adventure game where you go on a quest to try to figure out the mysterious events of Mundaun Mountain. You will be exploring, finding secrets, driving vehicles, encountering dangers, finding items, and solving puzzles as you make your way through the mountain. Mundaun features a unique art style with hand-drawn textures, and there is a fear mechanic where the more scared your character is, the slower they will move. Mundaun looks like a creepy and atmospheric first-person horror game, and you can check it out when it releases on March 16th, and feel free to correct my pronunciation in the comments. Next up is Stubbs the Zombie and Rebel Without a Pulse, releasing on March 16th digitally only for $19.99. Stubbs the Zombie and Rebel Without a Pulse is the re-release of the 2005 Xbox Classic, this time coming to all consoles. You play as Stubbs as you build a zombie horde by converting your enemies into the undead and leading them. You will be eating brains to replenish your arsenal of moves as you try to destroy civilization. Your special abilities include Unholy Flatulence, Gut Grenades, and the Sputum Head. You can also have a friend join the game as Grubs for some local co-op. It's very cool to see this obscure game that was stuck on the Xbox get a re-release, and you can check it out when Stubbs the Zombie and Rebel Without a Pulse is released on March 16th. Also on March 16th is an awesome game called Kingdoms of Amalur Rereckoning, releasing digitally only for $39.99. I am sure that many of you are familiar with Kingdoms of Amalur, but essentially it is an absolutely massive third-person action-adventure RPG full of content. There is a huge open world to explore, tons of quests to go on, enemies to fight, with a deep and really fun action RPG battle system, and so much more. The re-release features updated graphics, quality of life improvements, rebalanced gameplay, all the DLC, and more. So if you're looking for a fun action RPG with over 100 hours of gameplay, then check out Kingdoms of Amalur Rereckoning when it releases on March 16th. Next up is Minute of Islands, releasing on March 18th digitally only for $19.99. Minute of Islands is a 2D narrative-driven puzzle platformer where you take on the role of a young mechanic named Mo as she sets out to repair the world. You will be gaining control of the Giant's machines with your Omni Switch to conquer puzzles and platforming challenges in the environment. There are multiple islands to explore with characters to meet and secrets to discover. Minute of Islands looks like a fun and unique little puzzle platformer, and you can check it out when it releases on March 18th. Next up on March 19th is another good third-party release, and that is Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville Complete Edition, releasing digitally and physically for $39.99. Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville is a silly third-person shooter in the Plants vs. Zombies universe, and a complete edition includes all content as well. You can play single player and take on missions, defeat huge bosses, and explore various locations collecting medals and unlocking outfits in the PvE mode, which you can play offline. You will earn in-game coins, which you can use for character customization, and you can of course play online in multiplayer battle modes for up to 16 people. Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville has been reviewed pretty well in the past, and you can now play it on the Nintendo Switch when it releases on March 19th. Also on March 19th is Cant Drive This, releasing digitally only for $19.99. Cant Drive This is a very fun looking competitive co-op racing game where one player drives a monster truck while the other player builds the track they are racing on in real time. If you don't have any friends around, you can still play single player or with random people online as well. There is a level editor, even though the whole game itself is pretty much a level editor. The vehicles and tracks are customizable, and you can play split screen with up to 4 players total. I really like the idea of this game, and it looks like a hell of a blast to play with a small group of people, and Cant Drive This is a game I will have my eye on when it releases on March 19th. On March 23rd is Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olivetown, releasing digitally and physically for $49.99. So here we have a Harvest Moon competitor in the same month with Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olivetown. Story of Seasons is a very similar game, except to me it looks more like Stardew Valley in terms of gameplay than Harvest Moon does. You'll be farming, building up your town, building your farm out the way you want, going on adventures, and taking part in over 200 unique events in the game. Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olivetown looks like a solid game in the genre, and you can check it out when it releases on March 23rd. Also on March 23rd is Tales from the Borderlands, releasing digitally only for $19.99. All 5 episodes of Tales from the Borderlands, which was developed by Telltale Games, is releasing on the Switch. You take on the role of Reese and Fiona, and the story takes place between Borderlands 2 and 3. Just like any good Telltale game, the choices you make will have ramifications all throughout the story, and this game has all the humor and wackiness you've come to love from the Borderlands series. So get ready for a funny, narrative choice-driven adventure when Tales from the Borderlands releases on March 23rd. On March 25th, we have a game called Get a Grip Chip, releasing digitally only for $14.99. Get a Grip Chip is a 2D platformer with 30 levels across 5 different worlds where you use your magnet grappling hook to navigate the environment. You will be dodging obstacles, rescuing battery bots, and competing in the leaderboards. The gameplay is easy to learn but difficult to master as the levels get more complex, and there are a ton of secrets to find to track down all the battery bots and unlock new levels. Get a Grip Chip looks like a fun and challenging platformer, and you can try it out when it releases on March 25th. Also on March 25th is a game called Paperball Deluxe, releasing digitally only for $17.99. Now this is really cool, as Paperball Deluxe is basically Super Monkey Ball but with a palette swap and a new theme and art style. Paperball Deluxe is a ball rolling game just like Super Monkey Ball, where you will be tilting the stage itself to move the ball through an obstacle course in an effort to get to the goal. Some of the features of Paperball Deluxe include 250 stages across 15 different environments and 7 different game modes, local co-op and competitive multiplayer, optional motion controls, and unlockable skins to customize your balls. If you are a fan of Super Monkey Ball games, then you've got to check out Paperball Deluxe when it releases on March 25th. On March 26th, we have a game a lot of people are excited for, and that's Monster Hunter Rise, releasing digitally and physically for $59.99. The incredibly popular action RPG Monster Hunter series is coming back to the Nintendo Switch, and it is better than ever with Monster Hunter Rise. In usual Monster Hunter fashion, you will be exploring large environments and battling monsters of all shapes and sizes while you work to take down a new monster that threatens the entire land. You can hunt monsters alone or with friends online as you wield a large variety of weapons, armors, and playstyles, along with new gameplay features such as your wire action and canine helper Palamute. Monster Hunter Rise is looking like an epic addition to the series, and you can play it when it releases on March 26th. Also on March 26th is Balan Wonderworld, releasing digitally and physically for $59.99, and there is a demo currently available on the Switch eShop. Balan Wonderworld is an action platformer where you use multiple costumes, each with their own abilities to navigate and explore each level. There are 12 different tales to play through with over 80 different costumes to utilize, with powers that allow you to do things like bash enemies, walk in the air, freeze time, and more. Fair warning though, as I have heard multiple people say they do not like this game at all after playing the demo, so I highly recommend trying the demo first before purchasing this game to make sure you enjoy it. Either way, Balan Wonderworld will be available for you to check out when it releases on March 26th. Also on March 26th is an awesome looking game called Kaze and the Wild Masks. Kaze and the Wild Mask is a gorgeous and badass looking 2D platformer inspired by classics from the 90s. You take on the role of Kaze as you make your way through the Crystal Islands to save your friend Hogo from a curse. You will take on powers from the tiger, eagle, lizard, and shark, and transformations that will help you navigate each level. There are a ton of secrets, collectibles, and achievements, and there are over 50 bonus levels to play through as well. Kaze and the Wild Masks has caught my eye, and I will likely pick it up when it releases on March 26th. Next up is Narita Boy, releasing on March 30th. I wasn't able to find a price. If you know, let me know in the comments down below. Narita Boy is an action-adventure game where you become trapped in a digital world. Narita Boy features beautiful hand-drawn pixel art and animations, a huge world to explore, a badass weapon to use called the Techno Sword, tons of enemies and bosses to take down, and a fantastic soundtrack. This is a really badass and impressive looking game, and it is certainly one I'll be paying attention to when it releases on March 30th. The next game, Tunche, or Tunche, however the hell you say it, is releasing sometime in March, and I wasn't able to find a price for that either, so if you know the release date or the price, let me know in the comments down below. Tunche is a hand-drawn action-adventure beat-em-up game where you set out to unravel the secrets of the Amazon jungle. There are 5 playable characters, each with their own skills and abilities, couch co-op for up to 4 players. The game features roguelike elements as well as you fight through 4 different worlds. You will gain experience to learn new moves for the characters. There are both ranged and melee attacks, and you will fight huge multi-stage bosses. Tunche is looking like a fun and solid beat-em-up that you and 3 other friends can play through together when it releases sometime in March. Also releasing in March is a game called Hazel Sky. I wasn't able to find a price for that. If you know the release date or the price, let me know in the comments down below. Hazel Sky is a third-person adventure game where you take on the role of a young engineer sent to an island to pass the trials of an engineer to avoid being banished. You will be jumping, climbing, swinging, and sliding as you explore the island and progress through the trials. You will be repairing various flying machines and using them to fly around the island. As you progress, you will uncover the secrets of the island and your people. Hazel Sky is an interesting looking game, and I will keep my eye on this one when it releases sometime in March. Well, there you have it, folks. 30 awesome games coming to the Nintendo Switch in March 2021. Some of the games that I'm most excited for are Sir Lovelot, Kill It With Fire, Mel Mole, Everhood, Crash 4, Kingdoms of Amalur, Rereckoning, Cant Drive This, Paperball Deluxe, and Kaze and the Wild Masks. But I want to know in the comments down below, what games coming to the Switch in March 2021 are you most excited for? Also, let me know in the comments down below if there's any games coming out in March that I didn't mention in today's video that you think deserve mentioning. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and if you're new here, consider subscribing so that you can join the Retro Wolf family. And as always, folks, stay safe out there, keep playing games and having a good time, and I'll see you all in the next video. Later.